everyone. I'm Jennifer Miller Hammel, and welcome to another episode of POPercast. This is your peek behind the curtain of everything that's going on at Pacific Opera Project. And it's an exciting time, I have to say. Pop is gearing up for the U.S., yes, indeed, the American premiere of a presumed lost opera by Antonio Vivaldi of the Four Seasons fame. This is an opera that was originally produced in 1723 called Ercole su Termodonte, or loosely translated to Hercules and the Amazons. It's been produced a few times overseas, recorded a couple of times, but it has never hit American shores until now. You will have the opportunity to experience this opera in the US for the very first time, just short of 300 years after it originally premiered. That's incredible. Now, the opera involves the labors of Hercules, as you might have guessed from the title. Hercules is sent by the Oracle of Delphi to go through a series of trials, including stealing a sword from Queen Antiope, who is the queen of the Amazons. Now, Antiope might be a name that you're familiar with from the recent Wonder Woman movies. That same Antiope. Hercules is joined by a whole entourage of Greek kings and princes to make sure that he can win the day and get this sword. Well, a lot of other things happen, and a lot of things are going to be happening at the Highland Park Ebell Club as part of this production. Josh Shaw is going to be transforming one of Pop's favorite venues into a traditional Baroque opera house. So you will have the opportunity to experience this opera, well, not only for the very first time here in the US, but also as it was probably first heard and seen in 1723. So since this is such a big production and this is such a big concept, I invited the man himself, Josh Shaw, to sit down with me and tell me more. So I am joined this afternoon by a very, very busy man whose name is Josh Shaw, who is the director for our Pacific Opera Project's upcoming production of Ercole su Termodonte, Hercules and the Amazons. And you've been just flying all over the country, working your magic in all corners of the continent. You have the Silken Ladder, which is coming up at Opera Santa Barbara very soon. You were just doing Skiki where?
Skiki and Try by Jury at in Stonington, Connecticut with Saltmarsh Opera, which is one of my
Right.
usual stops. And then as soon as the day um, La Scala di Seta opens in Santa Barbara, I go to Houston to be with Eiki Isamura again and do our Elixir that we just did here.
That's
So
right, because I saw something on social media that they were looking for chorus people. So if you're down there, if you're in that area and you're interested in doing the show, get in
come
touch with
on
them
out. It's
because Josh
fine.
would love to have you, and you should work with Josh. And then, of course, the reason for the season, at least for this interview right now, Ercole, which is coming up quickly. Of course, there is a Bohème before
Yeah,
that.
I mean, this will be out after we announce that next week. So yeah, there's a little just quick 4-day bohème thrown in there, 3 performances over 4 total days of 1 day of rehearsal, and we do it. So really excited about that too.
Although
Uh,
you did tease when we talked about the season announcement earlier this year that there might be something that was going to work its way in that
yeah, and
empty
it did.
time. So surprise.
And it did.
So yeah, Ercole coming up right after the first of the year. I mean, so many firsts for this show, including this being the U.S. premiere of an opera by Vivaldi, of all people. Yes, Vivaldi of the Four Seasons fame, if you're wondering why that name sounds familiar. I'm always amazed at how you sleuth out these shows that are just not done as often. How did you find out about this opera?
It's been so long since I found it. I really can't remember at this point. I mean, just the same way as always, listening to random videos late at night, or I wish I could tell you exactly. My guess, it's a total guess at this point, but I think I probably, was listening to a Cecilia Bartoli CD
Right.
and was like, "What is that?" And then did some research and found it. I mean, it's sad that I can't remember, but there's been a pandemic and three lifetimes since 2018 or 2019 when I found this. So um, it's been there the whole time, but how it came about, I'm losing track of.
And that's a good reminder for POPercast audience because this was a show that you originally had on the COVID season that went
2020.
away.
Hmm. Yeah.
So this has been a long gestating project and quite a big one in many ways. Um, the opera itself is pretty big because when you're talking about Baroque opera, you're talking about shows like Julius Caesar, Armida, Orfeo, and they're known, of course, for being stuffed with arias because Baroque composers really wrote to highlight the specific singers that they were working with on a show. So is that the case for this opera as well? Or are we going to hear a lot of real showstopper arias on this?
Oh yes. I just checked my information again. We're not doing 30, but when they found all the pieces, there were 30 arias and two duets in this. The way it's different, it's earlier than all that Handel stuff, and so there was already much less recit than we have in Handel, and we're just cutting that to shreds. So I mean, we're trying to find some way to do this in 2 hours. I don't know that that's going to happen, but we're going to keep it brief and beautiful.
Cutting out all the fat and all the garnish and just getting to the real meat of the music.
But you're still going to hear 20 plus arias no matter what we do. So get ready.
So tell Poppercast audiences a little bit about the story. I mean, we know that Hercules is involved because this is something that I've mentioned quite a bit, but where exactly does the story come from?
So this is seventh labor of Hercules, where he goes and fights. Fight. I guess they do fight. There's very little fighting actually in the opera, but the Amazonian warriors, and there's a lot of kidnap or capturing of either side and falling in love with the other side and negotiations and a lot of threatening that doesn't really go too far in terms. There's one battle in the middle, but it's um, it's pretty obscure for our time, um, and to be honest, I'm not wasting a lot of time on the plot for this one. This is this is about beautiful voices and some great costumes by Maggie, and we, I mean, the experience is what it's really about. This venue that we're building in the Ebell Club is like nothing we've ever attempted. It's enormous,
Yeah.
and then that's just to sit in, and then we're already working on the set. I'm going to pick up the first part of the. We're building a gigantic false proscenium, and that's almost done now. And then we have several smaller prosceniums behind that, and then again, that's just to set the stage. Then we actually have scenery. So it's I don't know how it's all going to fit in the eval, but it always does. So it's I'm very excited about it.
But there are several names, though, in this production that for fans, thanks to the recent Wonder Woman movies, which, I'm just going to drop a little controversy here. Probably the only good thing that's come out of the DC movies recently.
Oh, cool.
But there's some familiar names in there. There's like Antiope and Hippolyta,
Yeah.
which people know. And then if you're into your Baroque operas, there's also a character named Alceste that's in there. There's a whole
Este,
opera. Uh,
Tiseo. Names
to
you would definitely know back in 1723,
Yeah,
but maybe
and then,
not
of
today.
course, Hercules
Hercules,
himself.
of course. Yeah.
So don't and I'll stress this to Poppercast listeners too. If you're not familiar with this particular story, you will know these characters from other things. So it'll be really cool to see them doing a little something different than you may know them from. Especially if you watched that Hercules Legendary Journey show from many years ago. This is not that Hercules in
No.
many ways. So this is a work that premiered in 1723. So as you were saying, quite a bit earlier than some of the operas I mentioned earlier. And this was a completely different world, a completely different time. on the early 18th century. How faithful, and sets aside, because I do want to get to that in a moment. I kind of want to save that for its own chunk. But how faithful are you being to Vivaldi's original vision?
Oh, as faithful as we can. I mean, that's the whole point of this, is to try to make
Hmm.
it like it was there. We don't really know, all this is scraps of scraps put together, so we don't know exactly how it went on January 23rd, 1723, which is almost 300 years to the date that we're doing this,
Hmm.
which thanks pandemic, I guess. Um, but we're really trying to give the audience member this feeling of what it might have been like. I mean, it's impossible for us to really create exactly what it'd be like. They had seven castrati in this show, and period. We're not going to have every period instrument up there. We'll do some, uh, and we have no clue like how big the orchestra was or anything like
Hmm.
that. But we're going to try our best to give the experience in the seat and on stage, as close as we can imagine it.
And in a way, it's almost like you're inverting tradition, and I'll see if I can explain what I mean by this. So, pop is of course known for doing very untraditional things, but you're actually going hyper traditional in a way with this, and you hinted at this immersive set a little bit earlier in our conversation. Um, One of the most exciting things about this show, ever since you first told me about it, was this idea that the audience is going to be completely immersed in the early 18th century. This is an opportunity for us to be able to feel what opera looked like, sounded like, how it was produced in that time. Where did you come up with this crazy idea to basically rebuild the Ebell Club in a way?
Well, we've done that so many different ways over the years,
Hmm.
from flipping the venue around backwards, building a stage out, and we're always looking. What people love at pop and what I love doing is doing something we've never done before, um, and this was the chance to go super traditional, I guess, if you call it that, but something completely different than we've ever done. So that was very exciting, and it's just it's already kind of in line with when we always have the tables at the Ebell, and you were sitting in little groups where you could have conversations during the show anyway. So it's just expanding that in a little different way. And I, most of all, it's just going to look really cool. I mean, that's the long and short of it. Is if it looks anything like what's in my head and what this 3D model we just came up with is, people are going to walk in and can't believe they're at the Highland Park Ebell Club.
So for everyone who's watching the video version of this, we're going to put in some clips from the 3D renders, that way they can see. But for people listening to the audio version of Poppercast, can you describe what they're going to experience when they come in?
Yeah, I can try. I mean, when you walk in, it will look like, uh, similar to when you walk in, but once you come through those double doors, you'll actually just be met by a wall there, because that's the back of the seating. And once you go around that and come to the front, we have the orchestra in front of the stage, which I don't think we've ever done at the Ebell, and then um, box seating in a big horseshoe that fills the entire room. So tapered or leveled terrace seating, boxes of 2 and 3 and 4. Um, and then some general seating on the floor as there would have been, and then the stage will be completely transformed in that you won't even see the proscenium that's there now. You'll see a very ornate one that's downstage of that, um, and then a very classic, um, perspective set up there. Uh, Lighting, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to have, candlelight lighting. I want
Oh
to
man.
still, a little dangerous in the eval. And but we'll do our best. We're gonna do our best to kind of recreate that, and I'm sure we'll have footlights and all that kind of stuff to really add to the ambiance. And then each box you get a bottle of wine or champagne or something that we'll provide for that. We'll have some food available if you want to snack. Um,
So, and then I was talking to Kyle Nag during Elixir. Poppercast listeners, Kyle was the conductor music director for that show. He's also going to be the music director for Ercole. And he shared with me that the orchestra is probably going to be in period costume
that's
too. Is
right.
that
You know, we
correct?
love to do that. Yeah. I don't know if they know that yet, but yes, they will be. And Kyle as well.
Surprise.
You know, Kyle's going to do his best Vivaldi impersonation from the keyboard, not from the violin. Although I
Yes.
did learn he played violin in when he was a kid, so maybe he can scratch out a couple notes somewhere.
Well, as long as we put him in a big red wig, because
Right. Well,
that's
you know, he
yeah.
already has red hair, so
Oh, well, but he has to have the whole situation,
yeah.
like the big
Well,
curly
it
thing
was
going
getting
on.
pretty long last time he was here, so he
Yeah.
might just be ready to go.
Call him we'll call him the Red
The
Priest
Red Priest.
Junior.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, so yeah, so in essence, as a member of the audience, everyone who's listening, like you'll be able to take this time travel adventure and experience opera as it would have been in the 18th century. And I think that that's such a treat because not only are you going to be able to be at the US premiere of this Vivaldi opera, but then you'll also feel in many ways what it was like when people first heard this in the 18th century.
And of course, we'll have some great photo ops for you too. So, and you know, by all means, come in if you have a Baroque costume laying around. Please come in costume.
Or come in togas too, because that's what people will be wearing that on stage too. It'll be like
Yeah,
Animal House, everybody, toga
yeah.
party. So, how many performances are there going to be of this?
Oh, I should know that, huh? I think it's 8 performances, I believe. So we have the opening Friday and Saturday, which will be, you know, we start the day after Christmas, so it's going to be a mad dash to January 7th, and then the next week we have 2 performances on a Saturday that week, which is going to be interesting. You know, matinee and then flip it all and do it again. And we have a Thursday performance in there, but 3 weekends to catch it.
So lots of time, and as you were saying, this opens. You guys start rehearsals the day after Christmas. Everything opens up January 7th. So perhaps tickets could be just the thing for anyone who's an
Perfect.
opera lover or opera curious. Like,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a great. I mean, it's a great time. You know, the our parties, our operas at the Ebell are
they are parties.
yeah, they are parties. So, and this will be a little more serious, but it's still just going to be a big party.
But you know what? Everyone, no huge spoilers on this, but everybody does sort of hook up and get their loves at the end.
Oh,
So
it's
this,
a happy ending.
yeah,
It's definitely a happy ending.
yeah. So there are several familiar faces returning to the cast this time around. Who from our pop family are we going to see again, and who's new?
Well, we have several new guys because we have a bunch of countertenors coming in. But then familiar faces, Janet Todd, who you'll know from Butterfly and Bohème, and Mikado is back to sing Polita.
Oh, Audrey
Audrey,
Yoder,
yes, yeah. Uh,
who most recently was in I Can't Breathe, and she was really
yep,
terrific
she
in
was
that.
very good in that. Great to have Audrey back. Megan Martin, who's been
Mhm.
a fan favorite many times.
Yeah, so lots of fan favorites. I mean, Janet has done so many wonderful things with pop and a lot of really wonderful high profile things, and she's just got a gorgeous voice. So that'll be very, very exciting. And of course, Audrey being back after her powerhouse performance in I Can't Breathe. She was the lover for people who came to see that show or saw the live stream, and she just has that extended monologue
Yep,
of a scene, and it's just incredible. And then of course Megan, who was just fantastic as one of the stepsisters in
yeah,
Cenerentola.
stepsister and Rosina. Also, you know, part of this production in my mind has the whole time has been like, what better place to hear Baroque music than in the Ebell? You know,
Yeah.
with where it's just everything's just so crystal clear. You can sing as soft or as loud as you want, and I'm really looking forward to. You know, we've been inside a couple times now, but we haven't been in like a super intimate space like the Ebell, and
Hmm.
3 years. So I personally really miss the acoustics of an intimate space like that, and can't wait to get back to that for the first time here at Pop.
So January 7th, opening night, get your tickets now. I will be there January 7th. Already got in my box. And then several performances after that, lots of chances for POPercast audiences to catch the US premiere of Vivaldi's Ercole su Termodonte. So get those tickets now before they sell out, because we're pretty sure this is going to be like the sleeper hit of the season,
It's
because
going to
it's
be big.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, just an opportunity for you to be part of this opera and part of this story. So Josh, thank you. I know you've got a gazillion things to do, especially since you've got Opera Santa Barbara coming up just around the corner. So
Yeah.
I'm going to let you run. And we will see you at Ercole, if not sooner, at La Boheme.
Yeah. See you there.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. A big thank you to artistic director Josh Shaw for taking just a few minutes out of his very, very busy fall to sit down and talk with me about the US premiere of Ercole su Termodonte, Hercules and the Amazons, which opens on January 6th, just after the new year, at the Highland Park Ebell Club right here in Southern California, in Los Angeles. One of Pop's favorite venues. And as Josh said in the interview, a really lovely place to hear the US premiere of this Baroque opera. Make sure that you get your tickets. I need to stress this so much. Make sure to get your tickets now, because Ercole is certainly going to be the sleeper hit of this entire season. You'll be able to experience this opera like it's never been heard or seen before. And, since it's right after the holidays, could be a wonderful gift for the opera lover or opera curious in your family. Get that seat now before tickets sell out. You can get your tickets and learn more about the rest of Pop's season at PacificOperaProject.com. Also, while you're there, take the opportunity to check out past episodes of POPercast. We've got lots and lots of fun interviews with the cast of our previous production of Elixir of Love, Into the Woods, Iolanta, I Can't Breathe, and so much more. All of that is available on our website, again, PacificOperaProject.com, and subscribe to POPercast, which you can do on Apple Podcasts, Google, or wherever you happen to listen to us. Well, on behalf of my friends Rob Webb and David Hobbs, who work so hard behind the scenes to get these videos and these podcasts out to you every single week, a big group hug and thank you. I'm Jennifer Miller Hammel, and I can't wait to see you starting January 6th at Ercole. I had one more question and my brain just went blank. Rob, edit this part out.
Yeah, lots of edits, please.
I know. I'm like, ooh.